Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.
Welcome to the Two Bobs cast. We are an A to Z rock and metal podcast, going through the alphabet A to Z, picking bands, doing their discography. Mr. H digs up a million fun details and shares them with everybody, and we all learn and become better music fans. This is episode. Yeah, exactly. You got to learn. You hear all the bands all the time now.
It's occasional for me too. Some of the stuff, I
Sure.
didn't know either. So, and I love finding some of this new stuff out.
Yep, absolutely. So this is episode 56. We're getting up there, man. 56 episodes, and even more because we've started doing some more bonus content.
Yeah, we didn't count those as numbers.
So 56 today. We will be talking about the true new metal giants. The originators, I guess.
One of the few bands I don't mind calling new metal, and they don't mind it either. They own that shit.
They do own it. Yeah.
They're like, fine, we're just great.
Yep.
Just make sure you call us great. That's otherwise I don't care.
Basically, and they kind of are the innovators of that.
Yep.
You maybe can say a couple other ones, but Korn is, I think, the one that really put it in the mainstream. So anyway, Korn, episode 56. I'm here once again with my partner, Mr. H. How you been, Mr. H? I heard Korn wore you out a little bit this week, huh? 14 albums.
Yeah, it was a lot. I had a little bit of a meltdown on Friday because I was just like, and as I was explaining to you earlier, I'll share with everybody. Like I really really like Korn a lot. Korn is a huge band for me. In like, especially in like the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, like, man, I saw Korn so many times, and everybody I knew loved Korn. My brother loved Korn. We saw some just unbelievably amazing shows by Korn, and I want to give them like I want to talk about them. I want to talk about things, that I got to experience and stuff. And it's just like, as I'm taking notes, I'm like, it's been 4 days and I'm 4 albums in and I have 10 more to go. And I just was like freaking out. I'm like, when am I going to have the time to do this? Like, I don't want to do it just part way, but so in the future, we're going to communicate a little better and maybe skip another week, even though like we just skipped before Journey and we didn't want to do it again. But I think I got most of the stuff in here, but it's just, I don't know. Yeah, it was a rough week, and not because I don't love Korn, but I wanted to listen to all this stuff like 3 times, and really get in deeper on stuff because I just like them so much. So it was a little tough on me. I had a little bit of a break there, but anyway, It's all good.
Yeah, no. Again, I appreciate you getting through all of it. Good times. At least it is a band that we love. I love these guys too. Probably one of the first heavier bands that I ever really got into. Remember, real early on being in high school, and these guys
perfect timing for you, man.
Yep.
I mean, when that first album came out, you were what, like 13?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I got it.
You could not have been at a better spot in life. Like it's like you grew up as these guys grew up almost. Like, it's just, that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. All right. Well, again, we won't dwell too much. We've got 14 albums to get to.
Yes, sir.
So what do you got about Korn?
All right. Korn was formed in Bakersfield, California in 1993 by James Monkey Schaefer, Reginald Fieldy. Arvizu. I'm gonna laugh because it's one of the silliest like nicknames ever. But and David Silvera, so that's guitar player, bass player, drummer for those that don't know. Um, Out of a band, a punk rock band, I guess called LAPD. They were also briefly known as Creep for a little bit before finding Brian Welch to play guitar with them and Jonathan Davis to sing on vocals, and then they renamed themselves Korn. So it wasn't long after being formed in 1993. There was some. I read some things, and I'm gonna try to go off of stuff I didn't even write down here because it was getting too much. But there was like they had this practice space that they rented in this building, and there would be like growing fans like outside listening to them play, which is just mind-boggling to me that they're in a practice space inside a building and people would stand outside because it was like nothing that they've ever heard before. Like they were hearing them do Clown like in 1993, before it was even recorded. You just do parts of it and people like the crowd would grow and grow as they practice, which is just absolutely amazing to me. And they blew up pretty quick because there's nothing anywhere that sounds like Korn. Nobody sounds like Korn and ever will sound like Korn. So I can see why and why it grabbed me so early on too. You're just like, now you like I thought I heard it all, and you're like, what is this? It's just unbelievable stuff. So then they recorded their first album. They recorded with Ross Robinson. They made Ross Robinson famous as a producer with these first two albums. He went on to do just gigantic stuff after this, but nobody had ever heard of Ross Robinson before Korn. And they put out a self-titled album October 1st, 1994, 12 songs on it, just called Korn. So the lyrics are a bit juvenile and dated and cringy in some places. I mean, this was 1994, and you can also say that about other older albums too. I always use Bruce Springsteen for an example, in Born in the USA, talking about a yellow man, like nobody ever seems to bring that up because everybody
Right.
loved Bruce Springsteen. Well, maybe not so anymore with the political stuff, but nobody ever brings that up. But people, want to talk about things that Korn said that wasn't appropriate now either. Limp Bizkit's another one. Like, but I do kind of dock them for that a little bit because that's not something that everybody had to do. It's not like everybody did it back then. They didn't have to do that, but they did. But they're also a very emotional band, and we're getting a lot of things out from childhood trauma and stuff that I can't even possibly imagine what it must have been like. So they're using this as therapy too, which is part of what makes the music what it is. So, it's not always the best. They don't put it in the best ways, I guess, and it might rub people the wrong way, but it was acceptable to talk that way in 1998 and they were just kind of getting things out. So it wasn't like they were intentionally trying to hurt anybody. So, anyhow, there was also some place in Michigan, some school, some kid got suspended for wearing a Korn shirt, and then they called the cops, and the cops ended up because the Korn sent out these free shirts to be handed out, and they got to these kids in the school, and the cops ended up helping to hand out the T-shirts, which I thought was pretty funny. And the kid got to go back to class, but the woman was like, "They're vulgar," and she kicked them out of school. So there was some controversy for sure with this band, but and I think this band also, it needs to be said, was a huge influence on so much metal that came after them. Like I can tie them directly to Avatar for example. Like there's a direct line there between Avatar and Korn. It's like Korn kind of taken to the next heavier level. Like it's so there's groove and like the guitar work, and they're playing off of each other guitar work, and you know the the front man's kind of similar in a lot of ways. It's just all of it. But the bass heavy production, the riffs, the vocals, like all of it, it's so inspirational to so many other bands that came after them, and you can still hear them today coming out, newer bands that are kind of getting back to kind of new metalish sound, and you can hear parts of Korn all over the place in there. Like they're so influential. I love on this album specifically how some of the studio dialogue makes it in there, like them talking about Clown and Twist right before the song Clown. And
Hmm.
he's like, "You want to hear Twist? You want to hear Twist?" And they're like, "Yeah." And he goes, he's like, "F you," and they all start laughing. Like that's on the next album too. That's not even on this album, but
Yeah.
they were writing it, around the time that they were recording this song, and they all loved it, and when I first heard it, I was like, oh my God, because they were playing that song on the tour for this first album too, where they were doing Twist live before the second album even came out. And we were like, my brother and I were like, dude, what is this? What is he doing? Like, this is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
we've never heard anything like that. So it's insane. So we could feel that with them. Like, they were excited about it and we could feel that and we were excited about it. It's just cool that they left that stuff in there. I love that. Shoots and Ladders, I'm going to speak about a little bit, was and is an incredible concert experience, especially back then. How the song is constructed, the cool bagpipe intro. I mean, I give them credit for what they did with the lyrics too, because it was pretty genius. But the song doesn't really hold up for me as well now in total as, all this time later. But I did love it though. So don't get me wrong. And it's just, I don't know. I don't skip it, but I'm just like, if I don't hear that song on this time through the album, if it skips this song, I'm not going to be upset about it. Right. So it's just, I just wanted to throw that out there. But man, what an incredible live experience it was to see them play that live. So just hit me. Jonathan would disappear off the stage and he'd just come back playing these bagpipes. And you're like, what am I, especially live, you're like, what am I watching here? Like, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. And then they get into this just super heavy song and the pits are just insane. We were just watching a concert right before we started here of Pink Pop, I think from 2000. Just watch that and watch those pits. It's a sea of people and there's just like waves. They're like jumping up and down and they're like waves. And they don't have pits like that anymore. Like they have dividers up the middle and there's like 3 different sections. Like you can't ever see that again, And like same with like the Woodstock 99 performance, because they headlined a night at Woodstock and it's the same thing. Like it's just insanity out there. And if you've ever been in that, like there's just nothing like it ever. It's just crazy. So Fieldy Snuts, ridiculously good bass player. One of the best bass players for me ever, in my opinion. I mean, that guy he's just a ridiculously good musician. And he also has an equally ridiculously stupid stage name. I mean, sure, it was funny for about 5 minutes, but not forever,
Right.
I guess maybe I should give him credit, kind of backhanded credit, for sticking it out no matter how stupid it is and like never changing it. He still goes by Fieldy. Even I think his new band, he's got some new band, I think, or something called Fieldy and the Somethings. And I'm like, oh boy. But anyway, I had to throw that in there too because I was just like right from the word go. I was like, really, that's this dude's name?
Yeah.
And I thought the Avenged Sevenfold ones were silly. Like this is way worse. Fieldy Snuts. Oh my goodness. Again, I'm going to say this is some of the most memorable concert experiences ever for me. Ever. Me and my brother at the Agora seeing them, like we would watch the opening bands from kind of like standing sort of in the middle, like levels. They have tiers in there, or they used to. They still do, but we would stand back there. And then we would go down to the floor for Korn. And the one time we went back and we went to the bathroom or something and get a beer, and it came back to the floor and we walked down the steps. We walked down the steps onto the floor. And as soon as we stood on the floor, like with this open area at the back, the lights went out and they started playing Blind. And it's one of the most incredible concert experiences I've ever had. My brother and I still talk about that to this day. If I called him right now, he'd be like, oh my God, yeah, it's one of the best concert experiences ever. Like that show, and we saw him twice, once for each of these first 2 albums at the Agora. It's not even listed on Spotify that they played at the Agora for the first album, only for Life is Peachy, but they did. And I know, and I have the ticket stub here somewhere, they definitely played there. And we saw them twice. And then there's another show that I saw him at Blossom in like 2012 that also, or 2011, that also is not on Spotify, that I was like, man, like, and I know for sure that I saw him for that album too, but I'll get to that one later. But anyway, this was just incredible top level greatness. They sounded so good already live. Like they opened for Ozzy on the Retirement Sucks tour, and I did not see that one in like 96. It was before Life is Peachy came out, I think. And the Deftones opened too. And I know people that went to that show and said that Korn sounded like total trash, that they were terrible. That like, cause the bass, like they couldn't figure out how to make it sound good in the arena. And they're like, they sounded like terrible. You couldn't make out what they were singing or what they were doing. That was totally different at the Agora from the experience that we had. Like they sounded so good. My favorites on this album, before I just talk about this one for another half an hour, are Blind. It's one of the best album concert openers ever, in my opinion. And I love Clown, Divine. Faggot, I know, terrible name, but it's such a great song. And it's not really about other people. It's about people referring to Jonathan Davis as that. So that's kind of where that song comes from. But again, it's something we don't say in 2025. I get it. Skippers, there's no skippers for me here. I rate this as an A. It probably should be an A plus, but it just, and it really, for me, it doesn't get much better than this. This is my number one album. It's one of my favorite albums ever, and it still pretty well holds up 30 plus years later. It's recorded beautifully. It still doesn't sound like anybody else out there. They, like I said, nobody can touch them. There's no copying of Korn. It's not possible. And like I said, no one ever has or ever will sound like them. I do have to dock it a little bit, like I said, for the lyrical content, as it is 2025 and not say 1998. And like I said about Shoots and Nighters, like I don't like it like I used to. But I mean, otherwise, other than those two small things, it's an A plus all day, every day. So this is my number one with an A. What did you think of the self-titled Korn after like 15 minutes of me talking about it?
No, that's fair, man. This, I like I kind of said before.
Hopefully that wasn't too much.
No. This is a ground level band for me. It's one of those that, and again, I was really young and impressionable, and I just, some kid that I hung out with was like, "Oh, did you hear this?" And like it felt so like, like hiding it from my parents. Like I don't think they would let me listen to this, and
yes.
but it just like blew my mind. Obviously, the only really metal I was into was more like Metallica, and then I was listening to more Black Album stuff at that time. So, this was heavier and grimier and dirtier like than anything I'd ever listened to. It was like the hardest thing to like a hardcore type band that I would listen to as like a 14, 15-year-old kid. But yeah, like right away, it really hit me where I was like, this is special. This is something different. Just absolutely love this album. I have my same copy that I used to have when I was 14 years old or whatever it was. And, I've probably listened to this album front to back maybe 5,000 times. Like,
I know.
Like,
it's all so good.
It really is. It's really hard to pick favorites on here. The only one I never really was into Daddy. Daddy always kind of made me feel really something, like not good. And fair enough. Like he just, he'll drown out. Like they'll do the song and he's like crying at the end of it. It's hard to listen to. Like obviously the guy, has gone through some shit. Like there's no doubt about it.
I know.
So you feel terrible, but like I can't hardly listen to that song at all. So, other than that though,
I get the same way. I have to say, I get the same way with the Middle of the Sickness. About
I agree.
Mommy thing. Like I want to skip that every time. Like I don't want to feel that, but at the same time, I have to give him credit for getting it out and making me feel that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Can you feel that?
Gosh, no, you're absolutely.
We're not doing Disturbed, but it's just that's how I feel about this one too.
Yeah,
about
that's a perfect analogy there, because it's the same thing. Like listening to it now, it just feels awkward. Like I can't listen to this. Like I've only listened to it so many times, but really everything else
too. Like it's kind of the opposite spectrum for you too.
You're right.
Or for me too, right? Like that's hard, man. You're like, well, you can't ever imagine being the dad that does that to a kid, and then, oh boy. Yeah. Enough about that.
Yeah. So Blind, Ball Tongue. I mean, these are just classic songs.
Awesome.
My favorite were the 3 in a row, Clown, Divine, Faggot, like you said. Those 3 in a row are just like 3 of my favorite Korn songs. Like a lot of times I would just start it at 4, listen to it at 6, get to the bagpipes, and then change it. Like to me, that was like, all right, and it's after like 1,000 listens. I listened to this so many times. Yes. Predictable, such a great riff. Like I love all these songs. Now the only again, other than Daddy, to me it doesn't quite hold up as well as one other album for me. So it's my number 2.
Okay.
but it's still an A album. It's again, it just so many memories. It has a lasting impression on me. Well, I'll always remember how I felt listening to this for the first time and just feeling like I was doing something totally different and unique. I didn't have a lot of friends that listened to this, so I kind of felt like I was super cool. Like I found this, not by myself, obviously, with a group of my friends, but um, yeah, just really, really good stuff. And they actually, this album is kind of far away from the sound that they would really do. Even the next album, they kind of the way that they build up their music. This album's just more heavy, like just heavy riffs. Um, Starting with the next album, they do a lot more of the between Head and Monkey of where one of them will play a heavier riff and the other one
Oh,
will play the wah, 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 like
yeah.
the kind of this, but that's the Korn sound I know now.
Yes. Yes.
So that's like what you expect with Korn. This album doesn't really have that. This is like it's just heavy. It's just brutality of riffs, and I love it. But like I said, there's just one that holds up a little bit better because of probably production. So this one is my number 2 and A.
Okay. I struggled with this too. I ended up keeping this one where it was, but I have another one ranked the same, and I had to make it 2, but I almost made it 1.
Yeah,
So maybe we're on the same page there, but we'll
maybe.
find
Yeah,
out. Next one, Life is Peachy, October 15th, 1996. So this is almost exactly 2 years later. This is kind of great. These kind of came out around Halloween time too, because there's so much spooky stuff in there. Like I remember playing this stuff really loud on my stereo in the living room and having like my black light on in the living room,
yeah.
and like I didn't even have to put anything in the yard, and no kids would come to my house for candy. Like it scared the crap out of them. Like I
Oh,
would put
nice.
this on or King Diamond or Mushroom Head to try to
Right.
make it spooky, and they wouldn't come anywhere near my house. Like so, they would walk. I could see them walk down the sidewalk, and their mom would point. And, like I have my porch light on, and like their mom would point, and the kids would go, "No, no." I could just see them shaking their head. So, but this is Ross Robinson again. Hey, I did not put how many songs were on this album.
This one is
12.
yeah, it's 14.
14.
And it's actually
Yes. Yeah. 14.
Kill You is
Oh,
14.
sorry about that. Yeah. More of the greatness displayed on the first album. There's just a lot of raw, great stuff here. They will like Herd just astutely said, they'll write more polished songs later, and a little bit on this one, but mostly later. But I feel like at this point they're still kind of defining a sound all their own,
Yep.
and everything they write is slightly different, but all in the same kind of sphere, if that makes sense. It's all slightly different, but it's all kind of the same at the same time. But you could definitely hear that they're kind of they're going somewhere with the music, and like you said, that's kind of what they grew into out of this, where they still have the heavy elements in there, but it's almost even better because it's offset by this other quiet, like stormy part that's building, and then it just
Yep.
explodes. Where the first album and a lot of this album, it's just all explodes.
Yep.
That's it. So, like Twist, for instance, it's just craziness, just coming right out. But they did seem to tone down the lyrical content in this a bit for me, which is good. And another unforgettable show at the Agora with my brother, to see these guys. I found that this time around, I didn't love this album quite as much as I once did. I haven't come back to this one a whole lot for some reason. I don't know why. There's a lot of great songs on here, but um, I just listened to it this time. I'm like, yeah, I guess I thought for sure that like the first two would be my 1 and 2. And then I'm like, this one doesn't really hold up as much, but there's still some unbelievable songs on here. So I have this as an A-. So it's close, but
Yeah.
I had to knock it down a little bit. So my favorites are Twist and Chi, Lost, Porno Creep. I like a lot. It's real short songs, only 2 minutes, but it's like a metal version of Dr. Dre, and I love Dr. Dre. So it just feels so like LA and like a Dr. Dre type vibe to it. And I love the feel of that song for some reason. But it does sound like it's right out of a porno, so makes sense what they called it. Good God is one of my all time favorite Korn songs, and No Place to Hide I kind of think is the one where that's where you're hearing that this band is going. Like it's weird too because that song doesn't have a lot of listens on Spotify. There's like it only has like 6 million listens. Like a few other songs have a lot more listens than that one does. But that to me is the song, and kind of Adidas too. That's kind of where they're going later on. And terrible name, but I like Ass Itch too. That's another a great song. And again, there's no skippers on here for me. I like the lowrider, the quick cover. Like I like the shorter stuff. I love Twist. I like the Porno Creep, and I like lowrider. And those are all like the short interlude songs. That might be kind of it though for Korn for me because they do a lot of that later, where there's like 3 or 4 of them on an album, and I don't think I really like any of them. But on this album, I like all of them. So something they were doing back then with experimenting with that kind of stuff, I just really like. I guess with Adidas they tried to get a deal with Adidas because they have a song called Adidas. They wear Adidas all the time, like they're big, like kind of Run DMC. They grew up like watching those guys, and like they wearing all this Adidas stuff. And Adidas is like, no, thanks, we're good. No, we don't really want you guys to represent us. And they're like, okay. And then Puma sweeps in, and they're like, here's 500 grand. Wear all our stuff. And they're like, done.
Right.
They're like, we didn't even do it because of the money. He's like, it was just the the reason. It was just that they were mad because why would you not, like, we're here, we are promoting your stuff basically for free, and like you'd rather us promote some other stuff. So it worked out well for Puma that they went and switched to all their stuff, but it was just the principle of it rather than the money. But there's no skippers for me here. Adidas I could take or leave now. That's kind of another shoots and ladders type one for me that I hear it on XM or on Octane or somewhere, and or Boneyard, I guess, for them for this stuff, right? But and I'm like, I wish they had chose like 3 or 4 other songs off of this album other than that one. Like to me, that one's kind of down the list. But like I said, still no skippers though, not even really close. There's nothing I want to skip on here. I have this as an A minus, number 3. I still love a lot of this, but not as much as I once did. So a little bit down half a spot, I guess. But number 3, A minus. What did you think of Life is Peachy?
So I'm kind of the opposite. I was very disappointed when this came out. I did not like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just instantly I got it. Obviously, right when it came out, I didn't. It was so different to me. It was, if you take your back to that time, it wasn't as heavy as the self-titled, and they started doing some of the things that me and you both talked about, where it was more of a build-up, a little bit of the extra like light stuff that they did to help build into it. The secondary guitar parts is what I've always called them. The little meandering parts that kind of sets, I guess, more the scene for these songs. So I didn't get it. And again, if you remember, I was like 16, I think, when this came out. So again, I really was kind of learning and getting my stuff that I like. But later on, this album found its way to me. Definitely liked it a lot more down the road. Great stuff here. You mentioned Twist and Chi. I love those songs. Lost is really, really good. Good God is really, really good. They kind of lose me a little bit with the K song, with the very, you said they're better with the lyrical content. They went right back down the gutter with that song.
With that one song they did,
yeah. I can't even listen to that song. It's just so grating to me.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd have just left that one off and went with 13 songs.
I totally agree with that.
Kind of a dumb song.
Yeah, really. And even like you kind of mentioned Adidas, it's still, I mean, just chanting all day I dream about sex.
It's because that's what it fits with the word Adidas.
I know.
They're so proud of themselves. Look at me, man. Look what I came up with for Adidas, man. Let's play with that, But it is catchy, but it's kind of dumb.
It is kind of dumb. But No Place to Hide's cool. I love Wicked with Chino. Yeah, so cool. Yeah. The Lowrider cover's awesome. And Kill You is a great song, except again, this ending the album with the crying, and it's like Again, I
Yeah,
don't want to rehash that whole thing, but
because it's more of exactly the same
it
thing.
is
It's like
exactly
it's domestic abuse and
yes,
crying, and
yeah. Like
it's
obviously he's
bad.
talking to his dad in this.
Right.
He's like,
I almost feel like, did he actually record it and put it on here? Like, did they have to reenact the whole thing?
I
Like,
know, I know.
oh, it's so much, Maybe he should have just talked about it,
Yeah,
Like,
I
so let us know. Cry if you have to, but do we
right.
have to reenact it? Like,
I
oh my
know.
God, it's so hard to listen to.
Yeah, but excellent stuff. Again, it took me a little bit longer to get an appreciation for this one. I do like it a lot. It was, I think, the second album that they needed to launch into their third album, which was like a now that you get all of those first three albums, it like all makes perfect sense to how they ascended to it.
Yep.
But Life is Peachy for me is a B plus, and it is number 4.
Okay. Yeah, I do like though at the very end of Kill You.
The hidden track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's an a cappella version of Twist. Like
Mhm.
how can you go wrong starting and ending the album with
Yeah.
Twist? Like
Agreed.
it's incredible. And to hear him do it without any music, like you can barely kind of hear it in the background,
Yeah.
but it's mostly just him. And to hear him do that without just on a microphone, you're like, my God, like there's no effects, it's just him. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Um, Follow the Leader. So on to the next album. This is August 18th, 1998. 13 more songs here. This is Steve Thompson and Toby Wright and Korn produced. So I don't know. I didn't spend as much time as I wanted to. So I don't know if there was a riff with them with Ross Robinson or if they wanted to go another way. Like I didn't really find anything on that, but I felt like um, they were doing so well with him. Like I'm surprised that they changed, but I'm not really sure why, so I can't speak to that. Definitely more polished, more full songwriting, more layers and effects, less raw. An incredible. I know you talk about this a lot, and this is right up your alley. An incredible headphone album.
Yep.
Incredible. And this album is almost 30 years old, and it's absolutely amazing in your headphones.
Yep.
It's so well recorded. Oh, it's so good. This is their most commercially successful album. Also, this peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold to lots of copies. The Family Values tour after this was outstanding with Ice Cube and Rammstein and Limp Bizkit, and it just goes on and on at the Convocation Center. I think there was they had it 2 years in a row. I think, and I know that the bands changed the next time around. Like I think Orgy was at the first one
Yep.
too,
Yep.
and I'm trying to think of who was at the second one, but
It was
I know
Stained in
I
Lincoln
went.
Park and
Yeah, I
Stone
knew I
Temple
went to a
Pilots.
second one. Yeah, and then there was another one, like another 10 years later, or 8 years later. But
Yeah.
yeah, those were great shows too. And there at the Convocation Center, we made sure we got general admission. So again, we were down in these just insane pits, and I'll never forget that stuff. Todd McFarlane of Image Comics fame did the cover art for this, which I thought was really cool. The band admits they were doing lots of drugs and drinking and women during recording. And there's a story Jonathan Davis told about while he was recording. I think it's on or Got the Life. I think it was Got the Life. But anyway, he's doing his vocals, and he's like, there's people, performing sex acts right behind him in the closet, right next to him. Like there's all the stuff going on around him. He said, while I was recording the lyrics for the song, and I'm like, oh boy, to be to see what that must have been like to be Korn back then. And they were really upfront with putting their stuff out online too. I remember they had after school specials on their website, like that they would have at like 7:30 or something like that on like Thursday nights, and they would show, I think it was recording of this album. They would show parts of like while they were in the studio. Obviously, they didn't show that stuff, but they were one of the first ones out there in 1998 putting out video of them recording this album. So that's real early on for that. They're one of the first bands that's ever done that. They've always been made themselves real accessible to their fans. Like, yeah, you had to sign up and join up to do it, but I'm not even sure if it cost anything, if I remember right. Like I remember watching those on, and they're probably still out there. I should look for some for them now, like on YouTube, and see if they're still out there. But those were awesome. but they were really kind of off the hook there, whatever you want to call it, binging on lots of stuff. My favorites are "It's On" again, just an incredible album opening song. That's 3 in a row, like "Twist" on the last record, and "It's On." It's insane, great song. "Freak on a Leash" right after that is awesome. "Got the Life" is I mean, a lot of my friends feel like that's Korn's best song, like in total, because it kind of has everything in it, and it really does. But I like that one too. I like "Dead Bodies Everywhere," BBK. I like "Reclaim." Man, there's so much kind of good stuff on here. There is kind of one skipper for me though, and that's "Pretty." I don't love "Pretty," but even with that, there's 13 songs on this album. I said, and then the rest of it is just outstanding. So this is my other A. This is number 2, but I almost could have made this number 1. Um, it's just like a shiny, polished, more mature, amazing sounding version of Korn. Like it's so good. Like with the guitar play back and forth. Like this is a 2 guitar band and always has been. Like when it gets down to when it's not, they're not themselves. And those
Agreed.
albums, you can totally tell. And when they are a 2 guitar band again, you can totally tell again. Like it just comes rushing right back. Like they're doing the same things. Like it's just not the same band without 2 guitars. They're so good together, but doing totally different things. They're so good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've talked so many times about dual guitarist bands and how they complement each other. And this band, it's just not even, and Jonathan Davis too, being so different as a frontman. I'll talk about him more a little bit later, but he just, with those 2 guitar players, man, it's just not Korn. Without that, it just sounds so different. So again, this is very close to being my favorite album. Like I said, the songs are kind of still similar to the first 2, but only, and all the rap really I could kind of do without, but it was the times, and those songs are pretty good. It was the thing to do. They aren't bad songs, really. It's just I kind of feel like going forward, they kind of do a little too much of that. I feel like I want to hear what those songs would have been like if they were just Korn. If it was just Jonathan Davis and it wasn't Fred Durst and Ice Cube and Slim Kid 3. If it was just them, but again, they aren't bad songs by any means. So again, this is, yeah, I felt like I'm saying kind of too much bad stuff that is a number 2, but this is a really, really great album. So I don't mean it to sound like it's that bad. I feel like it could have been a little better. So anyway, number 2 for me for Follow the Leader. What say you?
Man, I love this album. We were right on there. You were absolutely right. This is my favorite. I love everything about this album except my thing. I like "Pretty," but I don't like "All in the Family," and it's not really because it's Fred Durst in it. I just, again, it's the nonsensical lyrical content.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but like "Children of the Corn," I like a lot. I like how they made it 2 different songs. When Jonathan Davis is singing, they got the heavy stuff. When Ice Cube's rapping, they go to more of the beat. I think that's an awesome mix.
It is.
One of the first bands to do that, other than, like Run DMC and Aerosmith. But this was like a metal version of that. It was
Anthrax.
Yeah, Anthrax is another one. You're absolutely right.
But they definitely were early on in that for sure.
Just to me, and again, I hadn't heard of Anthrax back then, so to me,
right.
This was like, whoa,
they
what is
invented
this?
Right.
Yeah, right. Like to me, this is crazy. But I love all this. Justin, super cool riff. The just super cool.
So good, I know, right?
They build it up
so well, man.
They do. They totally do. And this is just where it all came together for me. Where they got the heavy right, they got the build-ups perfect, they got the production, all the things that you said just all culminates to me where this is Korn's peak. They were massive superstars at this time. TRL was big at this time, and they were a heavy band, all number 1 on this every single week.
They were one of the first bands, if not the first band, to get 2 videos retired from TRL because they were on there every day for so
Every
long. They're
day.
like, we've got to get this off of here. Like, we need to make room for more stuff.
Yep.
So they just took them off and retired them.
Yep.
That's the first time that ever happened. That's how popular they were. But they're putting out great videos too. Everything they did was awesome. Everything.
The
it's
Freak on a
incredible.
Leash video is
So good.
It still blows my mind how cool that they did the whole thing where they had the bullet going through the cartoon and then going through a scene and then the cartoon again, and like it all builds up to the where John Davis says dot da boom, where he's like singing to the bullet, and then it's like go, and then it's like it ends by going with the girl playing the hopscotch, and it's so cool. Like these guys were like innovators in so many ways that I don't know that they get the credit that they do.
They don't. They don't.
They did so much for young kids getting into heavy music. Like if I don't, I mean, and people might say Deftones maybe more, but I don't listen to Deftones if I don't know Korn. I don't listen to those type of bands. Korn was my gateway to those bands, and then I was like, okay, well, I love Korn. What else could I listen to that's like Korn? Oh, Deftones, is another one, and it just kind of took me down that rabbit hole of all those. Like,
well, first you're like, while you're searching, you're like, wait, nothing else sounds like Korn,
yes,
so I can't find anything. But then you come across bands that are connected to them, Limp
Sure.
Bizkit and Deftones and other bands, and you're like, oh, okay, so it just opens you up to this other stuff that's out there.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely gateway for me. But yeah, favorites on this album, Everything But All in the Family. And I don't even hate that song. It's just that's probably the one that kind of bothers me. And it's okay. I thought it was funny when the album first came out, when they're at the very end where they're just making fun of each other, and so it's like, to me that's funny, but now it's a little cringy, like
Yes,
okay.
yes.
But overall, everything else on this album is phenomenal. This is not quite an A+, but it's as high of an A as I could possibly give something. And it's my number one, easy. This is definitely the one I go back to the most. I was mentioning to you where I just saw them in May, and I took my son to see them. And this was the album. They play the most out of this, probably this album.
Okay.
And my son loves this album. So to me, that's like a proud dad moment of he loves the Korn. I pick him up from school and he's wearing the Follow the Leader t-shirt that he's got. Man, it's like, like proud dad moment. It's like pat myself on the back. Good stuff.
He's probably close to the same age you were when this came out too. When you were into this. So it's kind of a reflection. Like you're looking right at yourself almost. It's awesome.
And
like
and
he's reliving it kind of like you lived it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I'm going to shout out Korn because I've seen them a lot lately, the last couple years, and they've seemed really tired, really looking their age, where I actually had said the words like, Korn doesn't hold up live anymore. Like, to me, they can't play these songs. It's not the same effect. But I took it all back this May. They hadn't played a show since the previous year. So it'd been months since they played. And I saw them headline the first night of Sonic Temple, and they blew me away. It was like they refound the fountain of youth. So to me, I was really, really happy, pleasantly surprised. They opened with Blind, which blew my mind. Like, I haven't seen them open with Blind in forever. And then they went right into Twist, and then right into, I think, Falling Away from Me. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 20 again, and these guys are just ripping the roof off the place. There wasn't a roof on the place, but anyway, I love Follow
Great
the
that
Leader.
they sounded that good, though.
I was pumped. Yeah, I was pumped.
All right, so number one. What did you say? A or A plus?
Just an A.
Okay.
Like, it's as high of an A as I could do, but because All in the Family rubs me the wrong way, I couldn't give it a perfect album. So
yeah, I don't have any A pluses for them either, which kind of shocked me as I was listening through this, because I thought I would have two, and I very rarely had two.
Right.
But I ended up having none. So I thought I'm like, okay, well,
right.
It is what it is. On to Issues, album number 4. This is November 9th, 1999. 16 songs on this one. Boy, they're really starting to fill up those albums here.
Way
Here
too
we go.
long.
Here we go. Brendan O'Brien produced. This still sounds really good, but it's kind of more muddled during the heavier sections, I feel like. There's a little too much going on here, I feel like. Maybe they just tried to cram too much in there, but it just doesn't have the spatial just beauty and deliciousness of Follow the Leader, which, oh my god, I could just go back and just put my headphones on and lay down and listen to that whole album over again. It's just, the whole thing sounds so good. And then you get to this one, and it probably sounded good for the time, but you're like, man, like, where was the other stuff? Yeah, it seems like a big difference, but it probably really isn't. This is where I'm gonna say, kind of about the short tracks and kind of going forward. Get rid of the short tracks, except maybe Dead. They mostly suck on here. There's 16 songs. You can get rid of like what, 3 or 4 of them, just 4 of them, just 5 of them. Just get rid of the short tracks because they're not good. It has some songs that kind of have some more boring parts in it for me. It doesn't have the urgency. Like, this is kind of like they got more polished and they got better at songwriting, and then now they kind of are losing the rawness and the urgency and the energy that you kind of felt on the past albums for me on this one. Like No Way and Let's Get This Party Started. There's just parts of those songs where I'm like, wow, but there's still some great stuff here too. Like Falling Away From Me is a concert staple, like you said. I mean, one of the most recognizable intros to any song, maybe ever, let alone Korn. Like, it's just crazy, and it almost make your hair stand up on end, like hearing it. It's just so good. Soon as they start it, everybody goes crazy. Like it's a song, in 2 notes, the song. It's so recognizable. But Make Me Bad's a great song too. Someone is also a great song on here. So it's not all like kind of boring, but there's some great stuff here too. So I have 2 skippers though, Trash and It's Gonna Go Away. I don't really care for either of those songs. But I have this as a B minus, but I have it at number 10. So it's like at the bottom half of their catalog. But because other than the 3 songs that I really love, I don't feel like this album is on par with what they've done so far. Like, it falls pretty well short, in my opinion. I was actually more surprised. I thought I was going to like this one more this time through than I really found that I did. I was like, wow, man, I really thought this album was better than this, but it's been a while since I went back to this one. So it falls pretty well short of the other ones, in my opinion. It still does decent stuff mostly, though. Most songs just not as good as before. So B minus, number 10. What did you think of Issues? It's right behind you. I also love the album cover, which was a contest, MTV contest, I believe. So that's fan made, and it'll show up on at least one other album cover later also. So really cool album cover. What did you think of Issues?
Yeah, so I liked it a bit more than you, but it was a little bit, it definitely a distance between this one and the ones that we've talked about so far. Again, I didn't love it when it first came out. To me, it was a huge step down from Follow the Leader, but it did grow on me. I think there's a lot of good enough stuff on here that I look at it as, and again, I was for a while, I thought like every other album was brilliant that they were doing until a little bit later, and then it wasn't. So I kind of look at this more as another stepping stone album, like Life is Peachy, kind of tying together some things that they were doing. But I like it. Falling Away From Me, to like, you pretty much said all there was to say about it. But I will say, this was the first pit that I had to tap out of. I could not hang. I saw the 2000 Summer Sanitarium tour in wherever the Sparta, I think it was. It's where the racetrack is down in Kentucky, the Kentucky Speedway. I think it's in Sparta. But me and my buddy went to, this is actually a super memorable show for me for a lot of reasons. We drove down, we didn't have tickets, we scalped them. And obviously, luckily then, there wasn't a whole lot of scalping issues. So typically you buy the tickets and you didn't have any problems. And we didn't, but we got there and we missed a couple bands, but we got there for Kid Rock. Kid Rock was awesome. And then Korn played. And I remember right before Korn played, Metallica made an announcement that James Hetfield was not going to be there, but that they were going to do the show anyway. So everybody was kind of restless in a weird mood. And then Korn comes on, and then Falling Away From Me starts, and me and my buddies were right in the front, right against the barrier. And again, it's a Kentucky Speedway show, so it's 80,000 people. It's just an amazing amount of people. And Falling Away From Me was the first song they played, and boom, the craziest pit I have ever been a part of. We were like, F this. I'm going to die if I'm in it. And you playing that video before, like it's the same year.
Yeah.
It took me back to that pit. Like I had never, and I had seen some, I thought, crazy pits. Like I've been in a Pantera pit before, and I've been in a lot of the like White Zombie pit. Like these were pretty crazy for me, but nothing to this day ever will. There was just so many people, and I got my butt handed to me, and I was like, I'm out. I cannot do this. I'm going to die. It doesn't help. It was 150 degrees that day, and we're all like, our girlfriends are all passing out from like heat stroke and all that stuff. So again, we couldn't hang, but to me, this was the show that was like, okay, this was the first time I'm like, and I'm only 20 years old, and like I could hang for 99% of pits. With this one, I had to tap out. And then Metallica came on, and they didn't play with James Hetfield. That was when I think the second time he got, I don't know if it was burned or he got hurt. Something happened. So we got to see Korn fill in for him, Kid Rock fill in for a few songs, System of a Down because they were on the show, and then I think it was just those three bands. But we got to see all those different frontmen front Metallica.
Not Power Man 5000 or Karma to Burn.
No, they did not. They must have left early or something like that.
Oh,
so
man. That sucks, though.
It did suck at the time.
I mean, it would be kind of cool to see some of that. I don't know if I want to see a whole show of that, though, But
yeah. What was actually my favorite part of it was, well, and again, it was memorable to see like Jonathan Davis fronting Metallica. And,
sure.
But that was all cool. But Jason Newsted actually did a lot of the fronting of that, and I thought it was really good.
Huh.
Obviously, he's not James Hetfield, but he's he could be a front man, and obviously he has been for other bands. But it fit, it worked, and I know I went off the rails with this. I'm not
That's
really
okay.
talking about
it made me think about the Summer Sanitarium that I saw, which was the 2003 one in Detroit at the Silver Dome with no air conditioning, and it was hot as Hades then too. And it was like this barn; it was so hot in there, and that was Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Deftones, Mudvayne, and Metallica.
Yeah,
and Metallica. James played that one, and we were in the pit for all of that, but Metallica. Like we had to sit because it was so hot, and all those other bands, the pits were just insane.
Yeah,
and then we had to sit for Metallica. And like it just kind of brought back memory for that for me too. But I'll cover that a little bit more in when we do Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Falling Away From Me, it just it's every set they play, they'll play it. I like the intro, the For You. They do that live a lot too. I like the build up of that. Beg For Me was cool. Make Me Bad's a really, really good song. Somebody, Someone, another huge song. I like Wake Up. I like a lot of this. That's what, to me, it goes a little bit higher. In just over the years, I think looking at their other stuff, there's just more songs here that I like than a lot of these other albums, which I made a comment to you earlier, and I mean that, where even albums that I don't love going down the stretch here, all these songs have at least probably 2 or 3 like really strong songs on it that I like. So I give them credit for that. But this one has a good 5 or 6 that I really, really like. So for me, it's right about a mid B range, and I have it at number 5, Issues.
Okay. I think I like some of this in the stretch here a little bit more than you did, but definitely you're higher on Issues than I. But on to Untouchables, June 11th, 2002, 14 songs. This is Korn and Michael Beinhorn. Beinhorn? I think. Sorry about that, Michael. This is where the band first considered firing Fieldy Snuts during the tour due to his drug issues, but ultimately did not. They just decided against it as a band. They said that the recording, it's been said that it cost them an estimated over $3 million. It struggled in sales after week 1. It still went platinum, like many of their albums did, but it struggled quite a bit. in sales. Jonathan Davis said that this was peak and pinnacle of everything Korn. They spared no expense and spent the most, effort recording this album as well. Like there's stories of them, like they recorded a bunch of it in Arizona, and they each rented a house for $10,000, I think, a week while they were there. Like 5 houses, one for each band member. So they each stayed in their own house, and then they went to LA and did the same thing there. They rented 5 houses for another $15,000, $20,000 a week or some crap. And then they did the same thing. I think they went to Vancouver and did the same thing. They stayed in 5 different places. So they were all kind of doing their own thing, but they definitely spared no expense, I guess, on recording this album. My favorites on this one are Here to Stay. I like that one a lot. It's another great album opening song. I like Blame. I like Thoughtless. I like Alone I Break. A couple skippers though, Hollow Life and Hating. I don't really care for either of those 2 songs that much, but there's 14 songs on here again. So this is an hour and 5 minutes. So we're up over an hour, I think, for a little while now on their albums. Last one was just under an hour. Between the 2 of them, they're an hour each. So, but this one, it's a little more solid top to bottom for me than Issues is. So I had this one at 8 as a solid B. So I had Issues at B minus and a 10. This one, it doesn't have the highest highs as that one, but it's just more solid all the way through. I can listen to more of this without being like, all right, I'm kind of getting bored. I like a little bit more of this one. So I have this one to be number 8 for Untouchables. What did you think?
Yeah, this one I love a lot. This one, it probably was timing for me, but I feel like this was a great album with the bridge of Issues. This is probably one that I listened to. It's probably the last one that I listened to the most. So the most recent album of Korn that I have listened to the most for sure. I love all this album. I wouldn't skip anything. I think it's a great listen. It is a little bit long, but I have a hard time. I don't know what songs I would take off of here because I really do love this album. It was.
You like Hating, huh?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
do.
surprised.
I like Here to Stay, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Make Believe and Blame. It's just really hard for me. Thoughtless is, I think, one of my underappreciated songs by them. I love it.
Really good song.
Shout out to Aaron Paul, who is who plays Jesse Pinkman. He stars in that music video and really, really cool. So I always kind of go back to that. I'm like, that's Jesse Pinkman, so
From Breaking Bad, yeah.
Alone I Break was cool because it was a slower song that I thought was really held up really, really nice. Embrace, Wake Up Hate is awesome. I'm Hiding, No One's There. This one might be, I guess, the one that maybe I like more than most other people do. Though I do see, and I'm just actually kind of looking at this at this time, is it received generally favorable reviews, and it says it remained their most critically acclaimed album for 17 years until the release of their 2019 album, The Nothing, which that's interesting to me because I thought I would be alone in this.
No?
I thought Alone I Break with this album, but no, I don't. But I love it. Again, just this one has a special place in my heart, and it's number 3 for me.
Okay.
And I have it as a B plus.
Yeah, I still letter grade wise. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
no, you're good.
I still have it like half a letter grade below you.
Yeah.
So I did really like it too, but it's just a little further down my list because I like some other stuff. But
yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it is. It's a really solid.
And
album.
it sounds really good to me. Like where you mentioned the issues of issues of kind of sounding a little bit off. I think this sounds really good. I think the production on this it's another killer. It's more along the lines of Follow the Leader.
Yeah,
it just sounds really, really good. Very well produced.
I should have put that in my notes. It was much better because now in the next album, Take a Look in the Mirror from November 21st, 2003, 13 songs. My first note on here was production fell off on this one again. So this is produced by John Davis and Frank Filippetti. I don't know who Frank Filippetti is. But the production fell off. It has a flat sound instead of the deep, full sound of some previous albums, like the one we just talked about. The guitars and drums are kind of faded back, but the bass is
Yeah.
still up front, so it's kind of weird. It's kind of flat and tinny, but because like the bass isn't like a deep sounding bass, but it's definitely up front in the mix, which is just kind of an odd thing. But this is the last album with the original lineup. Um, Head Welch left, at least for a while.
Yeah.
Left in 2005 due to kind of heavy speed and meth addiction. He had said that he was in this cycle where he would go on tour and he's like, okay, I'm only going to do this stuff for a little while and then I'm going to stop. He's like, and every time I would get to stop, he's like, I would stop and then we would have another show. And he's like, I would get scared and I would feel like I wouldn't be able to do what I was able to do before if I didn't do it. So then I kept doing it. And he's like, and it just, he realized that he wasn't ever going to stop unless he just removed himself from what was making him do it, which he felt was Korn and performing. And like, he felt like he needed to learn that he could do this without doing that.
Right.
And that kind of really resonated with me. It actually made a lot of sense to me. Like, I haven't really heard addiction, talked about in that way, that where it kind of, where you can relate to it, like, I don't know. I guess I smoked for years and I quit, 25 years ago, but so I can kind of relate to that, like, and I'd never really heard it explained in such a simple way. And I was like, wow, he's kind of right, and so it just really hit me.
Yeah, and
I want
he
to make sure I got
actually
that in here.
he actually found he was like a born again Christian
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. That
So
too. That helped him.
he was able to put that energy into something positive that obviously led him back to the band. But he's admitted, he said he probably never would have went back to Korn because he would have been afraid that he would have fell back down if he didn't find God.
Yeah.
And I commend him for that. I'm not one of those people that is real judgy with people. I think as long as they find their way, one way or another, to find what's right, to make their life better. And he did.
Yeah.
I love hearing him talk about how, God saved him and allowed him to go back to Korn, and he's been sober. He's with
Yeah.
Korn and he's completely sober now. So I appreciate that with him. I think it was a great story, like you mentioned. So
I do too. And when I first met Kelly, I actually had a chance to go see him talk, and he didn't play anything. He
Right.
just to see him talk, as part of like some church thing that was going on from a friend of hers. And they said this guy was, and I was like, I don't know why I didn't go.
yeah,
I really
would've.
should
That
have
would've been
went,
cool.
and I don't know why I didn't go, but I wish I could remember the reason. I guess there's not a good enough reason why I didn't go, to be honest. Because I was like, she's like, "Do you know who this guy is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know who that guy is."
It's a
So,
legend, yeah.
and he was going to talk about, about what you said though, about being born again, not about music. I'm sure he would have taken. I'm sure he took some Corn questions or whatever, but it wasn't really about that. That wasn't what he was talking about.
Right.
But I'm like I said, the way he described this, I kind of wish I would have went to see that,
Yeah.
because I think he could have put a lot more stuff in better perspective for me, just like he did with the addiction thing. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, great dude, and great for him. I'm really happy. It's a great success story too, because so many of these guys fall down the hole and then you never hear from them again, and then until they die, and then you just hear that so and so passed away, but he hasn't been around for Lane Staley, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Those type of guys, they don't ever get out of it. This dude pulled himself out of it, and he quit what made him who he was to be able to stop doing that, and it's amazing. So
Yep.
it's great stuff. It continued kind of lowered sales on this one after week one. Again, it's still platinum though. They attempted to get back to a more aggressive sound here, but Monkey Schaefer said that they weren't really in the best space when they recorded this album. That songs weren't flowing due to personal drama each member was facing. Obviously, with Head with what he was going through, but having said all that, they still wrote some killer stuff. Other than a couple of songs I felt like that felt a little disjointed. Break Some Off and Counting on Me are the two songs that I'm referring to. The second and third songs, they just kind of feel disjointed. Like one part of the song doesn't really fit with the other part of the song. But there's still great parts in there, but they don't seem to fit together, it seemed like. So I could kind of hear that a little bit in there. But there's some great songs in here. Right Now is a great song. Did My Time is another killer song. Everything I've Known I like a lot. I'm Done. Y'all Want a Single is a stupid lyrical song, but it's a great song, and it's one of those ones that gets stuck in your head. It's one of
Yeah.
those Korn things. It Shoots and Ladders ish. I want to go back to, because that gets stuck in your head and you can't get it out. Like, and I hear it the next morning. I'm like, of all the songs, why is that one stuck in my head? It's just because it's such an earworm. But again, it's dumb lyrics, but great song. Skippers, Play Me. I'm not as big a fan of Korn rap songs. Like, although I appreciate the effort here, um, it's featuring Nas. So again, like, I know this was, I guess, kind of still a thing, even though this was 2003. So they're kind of bringing back what they did before, and it kind of makes sense because, like, there was an attempt to get back to their more aggressive sound. Well, of course, on those albums that they were referring to going back to, they had rap people on there too. So they decided to bring that back as well. But I just didn't feel like that one didn't work as well. But it's not a terrible song. It's just one I'd probably skip if I'm just going through it. I'm like, yeah, I've heard this one enough times, and skip it. But I'd have this as a B plus, and at number 5, I really like this album. Other than the couple songs that sound a bit disjointed that I mentioned, I really do like this album a lot. This has got a lot of great riffs on it. Like, it doesn't all feel real cohesive, but I do really, really like this album. Except for the production, though. I feel like this could have maybe even been number 4 for me if it wasn't for the production. So I had to dock it for that. But number 5, B plus for the content. What did you think of Take a Look in the Mirror?
So this was kind of a breaking point for me for Korn. This was when it kind of went downhill for a while for me. I did
I'm
buy
with you
this
after
album.
this.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This, I mean, again, to me, there's a clear line with this, and I agree with you. There are some great songs on here, but even this, with the great songs, this didn't have the lasting appeal that any of the albums before this did, which justifies to me where I had ranked this. Right Now is great. Did My Time, Everything I've Known, like you mentioned. I never liked Y'all Want a Single, but I do like hearing it live now
Okay.
because it's, I don't know, like, it just, because it the way that it is, it holds up really well to me. Like, I feel like it's a better 2025 song than it was, a 2000 whatever for me.
So this one aged well.
Yeah, this song actually is better now. But
I can see that.
there's not really a whole lot on this album that I ever came back to over the years. So for me, again, a lot of these albums are kind of in the same range. They're all kind of B minus for me. A lot of these. So this one is number 9 for me, and it's in that range, that B minus. Again, it's good. But it's like right in the middle of the pack for me. Strong songs, but I just never really came back to this album all that much. So number 9 is where it lands for me.
All right. On to that's 2005 now. See You on the Other Side, December 6th, 2005. 14 songs. Jonathan Davis, Atticus Ross, of Nine Inch Nails, I guess, fame, and movie score fame, and The Matrix, which is a group of producers from England that produce some stuff that's definitely not Korn. We'll
Yeah.
kind of leave it at that. First album as a 4-piece after Welch left, and the last with drummer David Silvera. You can definitely hear that there's only one guitar player here. This is what I was talking about. This kind of really gets away from what Korn really was for me. I don't hate it. It has obvious industrial sound to it, as Atticus Ross was with him here, and it makes sense that he's there, and it kind of has industrial. I feel like they tried to replace Brian Welch with industrial sounds, and I don't feel like it really works as well. It's just to me they're losing their identity here. This is definitely their most experimental album to date. Obviously, it's a 4-piece. They got to do things a little differently than the way they used to write songs before. There's songs I really like, and there's songs I really don't, and not much in between on here. It generally got pretty favorable reviews somehow, so that's why you were talking about reviews, and you weren't alone on that one. Um, was that Issues or
Yeah, Untouchables. Yeah.
Untouchables? Like you weren't alone, but this one got really favorable reviews too, and I don't really know why. Like
Me either.
sometimes like they're these critic reviewers, I'm like, is it? I guess it's different. It's Korn kind of mashed with industrial, but it doesn't mean it's good. So I don't know. But anyway, my favorite here are Twisted Transistor. I liked Politics. Politics was pretty catchy for me. Um, again, I don't know that I love that song, but it's one of my favorites out of this group of songs. We'll put it that way. Souvenir I thought was pretty catchy too. That one sounds okay. And Coming Undone is a great song. So that's kind of where Korn still sounds like Korn. And then I like Liar and I like For No One. So I mean I have 6 songs that I really liked, but I also have 5 songs that I really didn't like. Skipper's Here for Me, 10 or a two-way, Throw Me Away, Love Song, Open Up, Tearjerker's terrible. I think right there at the end. Yeah, I didn't really like that at all. This is down at number 11. This is a B minus. Again, there are some really good songs here, but then there's some really not so good songs. So, and just I don't like the industrial experimentation with them. I just need the other guitarist back. So, B minus number 11 for you on the other side. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty much right with you on this one. I have
We're gonna
4.
agree.
I don't have anything that Korn has ever done that I have in the D range. But I have
Me neither. I was close once.
Yeah, I was
We'll
too.
get to that.
Totally agree with you. But I have 4 in the C range, and this is the first of those C range albums. To me, it's a pretty clear, like their early stuff, and then to me, this middle stuff not very good. And then I'm with you. I think you may even have liked it a little bit more, but the more recent stuff, some of it's really, really good. But this kind of like the last one to me was like the clear shift. This is when they kind of hit rock bottom for Korn in a stick like this for a while. But I'm right with you there. Twisted Transistor's good. Coming Undone is okay. I don't know that I love it as much as all their other popular songs. Politics is okay. I agree with that. I'm totally with you here. The middle of this album is a pit for me. Everything from like Hypocrites to Souvenir to all the way to Love Song and Open Up. Like to me, like none of those songs are good. Some of them just drown on forever, and I'm just like, there's nothing happening here. And I love Atticus Ross. Obviously,
I
I've
know you
said
do.
before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did the mesh didn't work well for
No,
me here.
no.
It did not. It didn't work at all. Tearjerker, you say, is really really bad. A closer. So yeah, this one wasn't great for me. I have it also at number 11, but with me this starts my C. So this is a C plus.
Okay.
And a lot of it is those first 2 songs. And I guess a little bit Coming Undone, though. Again, when they play Coming Undone live, I'm just like, maybe
Yeah, it's
maybe
one.
throw in a different one.
It's one. I think they do Twisted Transistors sometimes, but it seems like
They
Coming
do.
Undone they still do all the time off of this album for whatever reason. I
It
agree.
it
It's not to the
repeats.
level of some of the other great stuff. But
I'm just the da 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 da. It's that the whole song.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all it is.
it is. It
It's
is.
really all it is.
It's catchy, but yeah, it's kind of not as dynamic as,
Right.
as the earlier stuff for sure. Okay, on to so we both had. I could easily have had that at a C plus too. So
Yeah.
I pretty much I think we're right on the money with that one with each other. Untitled, July 31st, 2007, 13 songs. Jonathan Davis felt like he said something like, well, "I guess let's let the fans name it." I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Untitled. It's kind of weird, but so it's called Untitled, or do we just say it's what?
I don't know.
I don't like. We're supposed to call it something, right? But we can't because it's untitled. I don't know. Atticus Ross again is the sole producer on this one, I believe.
Yep, he was.
Untitled album, and it says right. It's so dumb. A lot of the instrumentation is buried on this album behind industrial sounds and guitar. The guitar is the industrial sounds and keyboards. The guitar is very distant in a lot of these songs, and it's sad. So now not only do they have one guitarist, they buried him like in the mix. So I'm like, well, that's great. But finally, not over an hour marathon album on this one. Like there's 13 songs, but hey, it's only 48 minutes.
Right.
So, 11 and a half minutes short of an hour. So that's kind of good. This is the only album they recorded without a drummer. Jonathan Davis hired session musicians Brooks Wackerman and Terry Bozzio of Missing Persons and Frank Zappa, and played some drums himself. Bozzio, I guess, demanded a full-time member status and wanted 25% interest in the band. The band was insulted and decided not to tour with him. I know, shocker. Okay, whatever. They hired in a keyboardist. Now they have an official keyboard player, Zach Baird, on staff now, and that'll change to a different guy later. I don't think I even wrote his name down, the other guy. But they do have a keyboardist in the band. This is kind of even more experimental and atmospheric. Obviously, they have a keyboardist now, so they were kind of always doing some pre-recorded stuff before, but it's now they just figured, hey, now we got a keyboard player. Here he is, and they just added even more stuff in there. I have to admit, I was kind of having some Korn fatigue at this point. Also, both during this listen and just in life, I was like, okay, like you said. The last album wasn't very good, and there was a lot of songs I didn't like, and even the ones I really did like weren't to the level of the earlier stuff. And I just was like, boy, I don't know if I really even want to listen to Korn, right now. So it just didn't really have any hits on it. So I wasn't hearing a song I liked all the time, too, to make me check out more of the album. Plus, like I said, half of the last album was stuff I was disappointed at, just one guitarist, and I felt like the songwriting suffered. So this one I just kind of largely ignored, and I didn't listen too much until, obviously this week I listened to it again, and it's never really gotten any better for me. So I have a few that I liked, Starting Over, Hold On, and Killing. I like those three songs. But Skippers, I have Bitch, We Got a Problem, Kiss, Do What They Say, Innocent Bystander, Hushabye is awful. I have this as a C plus. This is down in the C range for me now. This is number 13 out of 14. This is way down the hill from the first three albums. Like I'd look at the distance from the first three albums to here, and I'm like, how did we even get here?
Yeah.
So it's really not. They're just a shell of themselves at this point on this album. It's not all bad, but there's nothing great here whatsoever. So C plus 13. What did you think of the Untitled album?
Yeah, I'm pretty much like not really a whole lot more I can say about this. I'm
Okay.
exactly with you. I was out on Korn at this time. I wasn't even I wasn't. They were just so far out. Like I was into other stuff at this time. Like it really hurt that there was no big singles off here. I actually did like Evolution. That was the one single that I had heard on here somewhere else. Starting Over, you mentioned, is good. I do like Evolution. Hold On is okay. Not much else though. This is pretty weak. I can say that same issue. I didn't hate it. So listening to it this week, I was like, okay, I might have liked it better if I was in on it when it was happening, but listening to it now, again, it doesn't really do much for me. I had it one spot higher. I had it number 12. I had two that I liked a little bit less, but it's in that same C range. Probably won't listen to this one or my next two ever again. Just not my thing. And they luckily do get better at a point. So not really any point to listen to this. So I'm with you. Number 12, Untitled Korn album, and a C.
Okay. On to Korn 3, Remember Who You Are, July 13th, 2010. 11 songs on this album. This album is called Korn 3, because Ross Robinson has returned once again to produce the band, and it's his third album with the band. So that's the title. They weren't reinventing themselves per se, although the album is also titled Remember Who You Are. So they tried to get back to what they were doing before with Ross Robinson. So I tried to get back in here as a Korn fan, and because I was hearing that they were going to go back to the sound they had early on. I didn't know if that meant, and this was 2010, I didn't know at the time if that meant they were adding a guitarist or what. I just knew that they were still missing one, but I was like, okay, I was ready to give this album a chance. I read a lot about it coming into it. I'm like, okay. Um, but I was pretty disappointed again, though, as the songs they just aren't that great. This is the first time they have no record label and kind of pay for the album recording and the tour themselves, which has cost them a fortune. This is the first album with Ray Luzier as their a full-time drummer, formerly of many bands, including the David Lee Roth band and he was the original Steel Panther drummer. He was immediately invited to join Korn upon his audition. They asked him to learn 6 songs. He learned 30 and showed up there and just blew him away. And they're like, can you just join us like starting now? So they were done auditioning people when he came in there. So he's been a really good fit for this band.
Yeah.
He's still there today, I believe, and he's an accomplished drummer. He's really good. The band took a 10-month hiatus before recording this album, maybe to this album decompress, I guess, and work on solo stuff. Jonathan Davis actually put out a pretty good solo album right around now that I liked. I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to look it up, but I did kind of like that. It was pretty good. It kind of felt Korn like, because it was still him, and nobody sings like him. But he also felt this album was their biggest mistake, and that hiring Robinson wasn't a good idea because it pushed the band back instead of forward. And Davis kind of felt like Ross pushed him back to a dark place that he didn't want to go to, as we talked about some of those songs from earlier. And I guess there's a song on here. I don't think it's Pop a Pill. I think it's Let the Guilt Go or The Past, but it's a song about his wife and his wife having an opiate addiction to pills. And I guess this is the kind of stuff that happened like during the recording of this. Ross Robinson called his wife, Devin, called Jonathan Davis's wife, Devin, and had her come to the studio and made him sing that song to her to try to get in his head. And I guess even during this time, like, I guess something Ross Robinson would do, and I guess Jonathan Davis like appreciated it in the past, but Ross Robinson would punch him. Like he would be singing a song and he would come up and he would punch him in the back. Like I've never heard of anything like that before, like physically assault him while he's trying to sing. And I guess it really helped him, I guess, at some point in the past. But that just sounds so weird. And he said he just wasn't ready to do that kind of stuff anymore with Ross Robinson. He said, I still love the guy. He still got out of me stuff that I didn't think I could do. But he's like, at this point, he just felt like this was not the right thing to do. And Robinson himself even expressed regret later for how he treated Davis, saying that he pushed Jonathan Davis too hard and that it had the opposite effect that it was intended. So this was a weird space for this band to be in. They're missing a second guitarist. They have a keyboard player and they're trying to record stuff like they did back in the past when they had 2 guitarists, and it's like it never worked. But having said that, there's a few songs on here I do like. Oildale, Leave Me Alone. I like that one. I like Move On. I like Let the Guilt Go, and I like Are You Ready to Live. I like those 4 songs. Skippers for me are Lead the Parade and The Past. I didn't care for those. But again, this is down. This is a C plus. Even though there's songs on here I like, there's just nothing great on here. It's really missing, head, songwriting piece for sure. The back and forth guitar player is just not there. They tried replacing it with industrial keyboards, but that only works sometimes. And on here, it's just a void. Like they kind of didn't replace it with that, but there's just another guitarist is just missing. So it's listenable. It's just not memorable. So I have this as a C plus, number 12, B minus C plus, somewhere in that range. So it's not awful. I appreciate what they tried to do, but it's not the same. What did you think of? This was also the one too I wanted to mention real quick. This is the show. Like this came out in 2010. I think it was 2011. They came to Blossom. I remember specifically because it was called "Remember Who You Are." They were remembering Bakersfield, and I remember the stage setup was really cool because they had an oil derrick on stage, which I guess Bakersfield there's a lot of oil fields. They had an oil derrick like on stage, and it just looked really cool because the way it was like lit up, the way they had it painted, it kind of glowed a little bit. I was in the pit for this show at Blossom, and it was really kind of a cool show. Like I really enjoyed the show. They only played like I think 2 or 3 songs off of this, but they played all their great stuff. And I did miss them having a second guitarist, but they did the best with what they had, and it was still entertaining. And I love the stage setup. But like you look at Spotify, and it says they didn't come here from like 2009 to 2017. And I tried searching every different way, and I'm like, I know I saw them for this album. So it's just weird. But anyway, this is where I wanted to kind of bring that up. But anyway, what did you think of Korn 3? Remember Who You Are?
Yeah, this is where going back, you can just really, you mentioned it. The songs are just not good. The songs are not memorable here. If it didn't have the Korn name, would anybody listen to any of this stuff? Probably not, right? Like, to me, just listening to it, I was just so unimpressed. Really, the only songs that I like on here is "Leave Me Alone," Oildale. They'll still play that from time to time live, and "Let the Guilt Go." Those are the only two that, after listening to the album, I haven't really wanted to talk about. I don't know that there's a lot of skippable stuff on here, but just so unmemorable. This one had the most negative reaction from me, other than the next one, which is just way out in left field. But this one is just it's as bad as you can say. Just it didn't give me a reaction. It kind of felt like and to me that's not what I want to listen to with Korn. And maybe I hold them to a higher standard because it is Korn and because it is, it is Jonathan Davis and it is Monkey and it is Fieldy, and your expectations should be better than this. And setting this up as something like Remember Who You Were, like, no, I remember who you are based on listening to those awesome albums and taking me back. This is not very good. Another C for me, and number 13. Like I said, it just the negative reaction to me just as it was an and only one album gave me a worse reaction after I listened to it. So, number 13 and a C for me.
Okay, so on to what is going to surely be the bottom of both of our lists. When I had my little hissy fit meltdown, whatever you want to call it, on Friday, I was like, we should just skip this Path of Totality garbage. And then I nicknamed it Path of Partiality because this came out December 6, 2011, 11 songs. But I call it the Path of Partiality because the only thing that sounds like Korn on here is Jonathan Davis.
Yes,
that's
agreed.
it. So it's only partial Korn. I don't even know why they called this Korn. He should have just called it something else. He should have come out with another solo album because that's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah.
The production was done by a bunch of electronic music producers. It's a bit of a dubstep album, I guess. Jonathan Davis, in his infinite wisdom, called it future metal. No, maybe if future metal was in a dumpster that was on fire. Some of it, isn't terrible, but also feels like a Jonathan Davis solo album. There's very little guitar or bass in here.
Yeah.
This is not the Korn I want to hear at all for the most part. He said this, much like an eclipse, this was this is why they called it Path of Totality. Much like an eclipse, this was a bunch of things aligning with these electronic music producers because they're all over the place on this album. So they're all popular and they're all doing their own thing too. So this was kind of everybody was kind of available to do this with Jonathan, I guess, because I don't know what the heck anybody else recorded. But they were available, so it's kind of like this is a kind of thing that could never be repeated anyway. So that's a good thing for me, and seems like probably most Korn fans. But it definitely was not future metal whatsoever. Maybe we'll hear this again. Maybe he was like a visionary, and
maybe
like 2030, this is the only metal that'll exist. Stuff just like this, which I don't want to imagine that world.
No,
so not good. Very divided reviews, as you can imagine, with some praising the attempt. Of course, this is again where you get critics where I'm like, they just love to hear anything different because I feel like they listen to all this metal or all these albums all the time, and they're like, wow, this one actually stood out, and this one definitely stands out. It's definitely different, but not in a good way though. So very divided. Some saying it was complete garbage. I think somebody rated it like 0.5 out of 5 or something. I read. I'm like, wow. So it is. It's pretty bad. But I mean, for Korn, it's easily the worst thing that they've put out with their name on it. Like I said, I consider just skipping the whole thing. Narcissistic Cannibal is the catchiest, most Kornish song on here, but even that's not very very Korn like, and I guess maybe way too far, I guess, is okay. But skippers are most of the rest of this, especially Illuminati and Sanctuary. I especially couldn't stand those songs, but I don't really like any of the rest of it either. This is an easy C minus 14. And this is the one where this is a couple catchy choruses from being a D range album. This is
Yes.
not Korn, but this is a couple catchy choruses that Jonathan Davis is so good at doing. And you know what? I'm going to talk about him right here because this is the best place, I think, that he is one of the most dynamic. He's one of the best frontmen ever. Like, I'm going to say all these good things about Jonathan Davis on this terrible album just to try to cleanse myself of the whole thing. But Jonathan Davis, what he can do, what that man can do with his voice, he can play the bagpipes, he can play the drums, he writes songs. Like, this guy, he has a gift for like melody and like getting stuff stuck in your head. And like, he has all these different sounds that he can do with his voice, and the man can really sing on top of all of that. Like, he can really sing. So it's just, this guy amazes me all the time. Like, that's the one thing that's always consistent, even when they don't have a guitar player or they're doing the dubstep album. I'm still kind of always impressed with Jonathan Davis and what he's able to do. Like, the guy is just incredible. And I don't think he doesn't get any credit, I think, at all for being the great frontman that he is. I really don't think anybody gives him credit. Never gets mentioned. I don't know if it's because it's looks or because of the lyrical content or whatever, but he never gets mentioned with some of the best frontmen out there in hard rock and metal, and he absolutely is. Dude. He's ridiculous. So I wanted to make sure I got that in here somewhere. This is as good a time as any. So what did you think of the Path of Totality?
Well, to piggyback off you, I forgot to mention before, I think a very strong project that he worked with. If people have not heard this, go check it out. But there's an awful vampire movie that came out called Queen of the Damned.
Yes.
And he did the soundtrack for that. And
So
it
glad
is
you brought that up. I didn't even put it in
freaking
here.
awesome.
Yep.
It is so good. It's not Korn-ish. Some of it is a little bit, but he works with a bunch of different artists on here. Um, Chester did a song with him. David Draymond did a song with him on this. He did a few of the songs on it too, but it is absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's about, I think, 6 or 7 original songs that I think John Davis did all the lyrics to the songs in the movie version, and then on the album he got David Draymond and Chester, and I think the guy from Orgy on another one of the songs. So definitely, if you have not heard it, don't let the movie itself.
The movie's not good. Yeah.
The movie is not
Yeah.
good.
Almost
But
worth watching though to hear the music.
yes,
in it, though,
no, I
honestly,
totally
which
agree.
is a weird thing, you know.
Yeah,
But
it's a
you're
cool
so
story.
right, man.
It's a cool story in the movie. It's like it's a vampire movie, but instead of it being like it would normally do these vampire movies, it's about a rock star that is a vampire, and like that part of it's cool. But then they go off the rails with it. It's not good. But it's got Wayne Static doing a song, David Draymond, Chester Bennington, Jay Gordon from
Yeah.
Orgy, and then it's got a lot of other cool. It's got Manson, Deftones, Papa Roach, Static X, Cold was
Yes.
I think it came out on this soundtrack before it ended up on their album. But awesome. Anyway, I want to give John Davis the shout out for that, because really, Path of Totality, I'm just gonna say ditto everything you said.
Okay.
It's not good. Narcissistic Cannibal is decent. Get Up, at least the chorus part of it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But the dubstep stuff in here, it just turns me off totally.
Yeah.
Obviously, like everything else. So easy, like you said, number 14, a C minus, and you nailed it. The only thing keeping it from a D is the greatness of the choruses of John Davis. So
Yeah.
easy 14 for me.
All right. So on to Better Things, a paradigm shift, which it really was a paradigm shift for this band.
Yep.
Back to where they kind of were before. Different drummer, but otherwise the same 4 other original guys. October 7th, 2013, 11 songs, produced by Don Gilmore. Return, thank God, of
Ed,
Brian
thank
Welch on
you.
guitar. Thank you. This album is said to be inspired by the Issues and Untouchable eras of Korn. A couple of members stated that. Almost all the songs were written again by the entire band, plus Don Gilmore has some writing credits. Generally favorably reviewed as a return to Korn and completely different from the previous album. Thank God. Still a lot of extra and excessive, in my opinion, electronic elements,
Yep.
but I can hear the guitars again, and the songs sound like Korn mostly. Thank God. It's has a bunch of exclamation points. The songs finally sound like Korn. Yeah, those last four albums I had is 14, 12, 13, 11. So that's their last four albums, was the last four before this one. So for me, um, still, again, the favorites here, Pray For Me, What We Do, Paranoid, and Aroused. I like more than I ever remembered liking that before. I don't know why. It just kind of hit me different this time. Kind of same with Victimize. Great riff. That weird drum pattern is a bit distracting, but it's only in part of the song. But I'm like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I like this or hate this, but it's this weird, like, kind of double or tripling of the snare drum that just I'm like, I don't know if I like that or not. It's just, but it's only shows up every once in a while, and It's All Wrong. The song, classic Korn. It's All Wrong. Love
Yep.
that one. Skippers though, Never Never. It's one of the most popular ones on this album, but I don't care for it. It's too electronics driven for me still. Like they still have some of that like left over in them and in their songwriting here. I don't think Head, like I'm not sure when exactly he returned, but I don't think he has a lot of writing credits on here, but I'm not sure he was fully kind of integrated in writing because it doesn't have that guitar play, that awesomeness that we heard earlier that will kind of show up again here
Yep.
shortly. So I feel like just him coming back, it's way better, but it's not as good as it kind of will get um, in a little bit. So, Lullaby for a Sadist was a lullaby to put me to sleep. I didn't really find that one to be all that exciting either. I have this as a 7. So this one I have right in the center of their catalog. I have it as a B. It's a pretty solid album with a few really good songs, and thankfully they returned to something closer to themselves. What did you think of Paradigm Shift?
Um, yeah, I agree. Obviously, this is much better. When this first came out, I listened to this a ton because it was so close back to what I wanted from Korn. So it hasn't held up as well now that there's been more albums that are also really good. So this is kind of the bottom of that newer phase of stuff for me. But again, way better. I'm taking this every day of the week over the last four. Everything See You on the Other Side to the Path of Craptality. This is very good. I like Pray For Me. Actually, while it does have a lot of the electronic elements, one of my favorite songs on this album is "Spike in My Veins." Um,
Okay, I
really,
don't mind that
really,
one.
yeah, I really dig that song a lot. But it does have the like electronic type elements in it for sure. But like if they would have done a whole album of "See You on the Other Side" with "Spike in My Veins" type songs, like at least with the two guitars, it makes it for me. So definitely like that song. I don't mind Never Never. It's All Wrong is great. Like you mentioned, I really like that song. Um, what We Do is okay as well. Overall, solid album. It's number 10 for me, so I don't like it quite as much, but I would have it higher if it wasn't as much as I liked these next couple albums coming up. I probably would have had it higher, but to me, it was like, okay, this is really good. And then the next stuff came. It's like, all right, they're growing still again. They're not staying put with, okay, well, at least we're better than what we were doing the last four albums with no head. Now at least, they're on the right
Headless
path.
body.
Yeah, their heads are cut off. That's the way they were playing. So,
Awesome.
um, but yeah, this is number 10 for me, and it's a B minus. Like I said, it's good stuff. I just like some of these coming up better than this one. So,
All right. On to The Serenity of Suffering, October 21st, 2016. There are 11 songs on this album, down to 40 minutes. So we're kind of getting back to just the good stuff. According to Brian Head Welch before this came out, this is heavier than anyone has heard Korn in a long time. This is where the little doll behind you shows up again. The artwork includes the stuffed toy from Issues, which is a really cool idea. I love when they kind of tie things back to their kind of their past like that. That's an iconic album cover behind you.
Yep.
That was, again, expertly designed. Probably their two most iconic ones are right there.
Yep.
That follow the leader and Issues. But this one is really cool because it's got a kid and he's dragging this doll behind him, and it's that doll, which I just love that they tied that together and put that in there.
Yep.
So that fan, again, gets a lot of credit for designing that, and they even put it on another album cover. So here they are back to being full freaking Korn.
Yep.
Production, song structure, heaviness, great riffs all over the place on this album. Thank you for returning Head. Thank you. Made the band complete again, at least for this album, for me. This is supposed to be back to the signature Korn sound without trying too hard to recreate kind of the songs that they've already done. For me, this totally works. I was worried I would never hear this Korn again, but here it is. My favorites on here are Insane, Rotting in Vain. Yes, more please. More Rotting in Vain. It's a fantastic song. Black as the Soul is great. Everything Falls Apart. Die Yet Another Night. When You're Not There. I like all of those songs. There's no skippers on me, although the Corey Taylor guested song track, A Different World, is the weakest song on this album for me. But it's not a skipper. It's still a good song, but it's the weakest track on all of 11 of these. I had this as a B plus. I had this right behind the original 3 as number 4, B plus. I was shocked. I fully admit I did not spend enough time listening to this album. I absolutely loved listening to it this week. And maybe it's because of the range of emotions I was feeling going through those 4 albums that I really didn't like, and then kind of coming out of it a little bit with the last album, and then this one just punched me in the face. Like, I love listening to this album this time around. So I'm like, you know what? I'm banging this one up there right behind Follow the Leader. I was losing faith. They weren't capable of putting something this good out ever again, and I really like it, and they did it. So B plus, number 4 with a bullet for me, Serenity of Suffering. What did you think?
Yeah, this is great. This is my favorite of the newer albums for sure. This one is great. I had a hard time placing it because it's hard to do the old with the new. I ended up placing it at number 6 because it just felt like a good spot for me. I feel like the best stuff now still is probably mediocre for their early stuff, but that's a great thing to me. Like, I don't want to make it sound bad. It's not ever going to be the self-titled, or it's not going to be Follow the Leader. But man, I'm with you. I did not expect this from them. I just, some of these elements, they kind of kicked back to old school stuff, but they evolved it.
Playing off each other.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
God,
It's
so
insane.
good.
Insane. You mentioned. I like Black as the Soul, really cool, but let me shout out Rotting in Vain, because that song blew my mind when I heard it. So, they're going through the song, they're playing it, and then they hit like a breakdown in the middle of it where it sounds like a record spinning as like stopping, and then it kicks in with John Davis with and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is the Korn I want to listen to. And
Yes. They brought it back. Like,
yeah,
come on, they brought all the good stuff
all
back.
the good stuff back. Yeah, so it's
Love it.
awesome. The Hating, Take Me, Everything Falls Apart, Next in Line, Please Come for Me. Like, these are great songs. I totally agree with you. Again, I just think everything is at least good. Not everything is great, but at least it's good. And those first 3 songs are just freaking awesome to me. So I already gave it away. Number 6 for me, but it's a B. And I never would have thought that I would have been here with Korn, but I'm glad they're still writing stuff and people are still like, this is good. And I didn't think they would be here.
Yeah, me
So,
neither, man.
excellent. Very good album.
And yeah, I had the biggest smile on my face when I was listening to this one. I forgot to mention this is Nick Raskulinecz, which we've had before. This album sounds fantastic again, and he does the next one too, which also sounds fantastic. So it's just, we're almost back to, like you said, they don't, the iconic songs other than Rotting in Vain, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Iconic songs aren't here, but they're all so good. Like, it's so solid. there's nothing else, like you said about a lot of those other albums. They had like 2 or 3 really great songs, but then a lot of it kind of falls off.
Yeah.
This one, it's got one really great song, but the rest of it is so solid, like so good.
Yep.
That I was just so happy to hear this. And I'm like, I'm gonna come back and listen to more of that for sure.
Yep.
For sure. Um, okay, on to the Nothing. September 13th, 2019. We're at an hour and 44 minutes. We got 2 more albums in our overall rankings to do. So 13 songs, 2019. This Nick Raskulinecz again. The title was inspired. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting how to speak now. The title is inspired by the villain from the Neverending Story, if you're familiar with that. So I thought that was pretty cool. This was kind of recorded in a dark place for Jonathan Davis after the death of his wife and his mother. His wife Devon, who we talked about with the pills, she did end up dying before this album came out. He says that this music is his therapy, and again, we're in a spot here where he can be heard breaking down on tracks. It's included in the recording. It's kind of good, but it kind of makes me kind of too sad at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I feel so bad for him and like what he must have been going through. And I've been through losing my mom, so it's like, and you just been through losing your dad. Like it really it brings out these feelings where I'm like, I try to listen to music. Like for him, it's getting it out is the therapy, but for me, listening to it kind of pulls me down. Where sometimes I just want to listen to music. Yeah, I can commiserate with him, but maybe I don't want to be down there at that time. So I want to be kind of lifted up and rocking out. But so it's tough to listen. Tough to listen to a little bit. I'm not going to dock him for it for sure, but it's definitely hard to listen to sometimes. This was one of the highest rated Korn albums according to Metacritic. I think this is the one you were talking about, right? The Nothing
Yeah.
was that.
Mhm.
What Issues was the highest
It
rated
was
one before this one.
Untouchables was the
Untouchables. I
highest.
keep mixing that up with Issues
Yep.
for some reason. Until this one.
Until
So
this
this
one,
is
yeah.
really, really highly rated. Um, this was kind of called the most authentic album of their career, elevated by kind of the real pain that's recorded in there, which again is not necessarily the Korn that I love the most, but I guess I could see them, they're getting back to authenticity, and it's all just put out there, like they don't hide it. So my favorites are Cold. That's a heavy song. You'll Never Find Me. This is a 2 guitar band. These guys are so good together, playing off each other, doing totally different things that work so well. I just love the sound of that, and You'll Never Find Me. Idiosyncrasy I liked. Can You Hear Me I liked. Gravity of Discomfort I liked. Like the more I went through this album, I'm like, I actually like more of this album than I thought I did. Now, I don't like it quite to the level of the previous album, but I did like a lot more of this than I thought. So this is another one I'm going to come back to and listen to a lot more of, and I have in the top half of their catalog. This Loss, again, that is another, it's song 12. It's another killer old school Korn riff. Killer, just
Yep.
killer stuff, man, and This Loss. Go listen to that. Tell me it don't sound like old Korn. Like it's still in there. So they're still writing it, here and there. So skippers for me on here is Seduction of Indulgence / Finally Free, where I guess they're not really skippers, but they're kind of the weakest tracks here, I think. And then Surrender to Failure, to me, the last song, I would just skip that one.
Yep.
I'm better off with that not being on there. It's only 221, but it's just the last song. I'm just better with just chopping it off there. So that's an easy skipper for me. I have this as a B plus again. This I have at number 6. A really good album again. I love the guitar play being back to what it used to be. More great riffs all over the place. Monkey and Head are so good together, man. So good. And it's just on display here again, where the songs aren't quite as great, but man, those guys are unbelievable. And Jonathan's always Jonathan. Like it's just he's got some killer stuff in here too. So what did you think of the Nothing?
Yeah, the Nothing is good. I'm with you. Not quite as good as Serenity of Suffering. The songs on Serenity of Suffering are just better top to bottom. But
Yep,
this is
agreed.
great. You mentioned Cold. You'll Never Find Me is really good. I like the Darkness is Revealing in Idiosyncrasy, really good. Can You Hear Me is good. I think it kind of falls a little short after that, except you did mention this Loss. Killer song. But
Yeah, it's
a
so
lot of
good.
these ones towards the end of the album had really sunk it a little bit lower for me. It started really, really strong, though. I just think there's a little too much here, and it's not one of their longer albums. It's only 44 minutes, but I still think there's a little too much, I guess, fat to trim off on here towards the end of it. But it's solid. I had it number 8, solid B. I probably would listen to it more too. I
Mhm.
think there's at least again in that the front half of that album where there's some really good stuff. I did not see them for this tour. I saw them for Serenity of Suffering, and then I saw them for the next album. This one I didn't see. I didn't really want to, but I mentioned to you before. I kind of felt they were done with live and being great live anymore until just recently, where they changed my mind on that. But the Nothing, it was pretty good, better than I thought it was going to be because I didn't really listen to it a lot when it first came out. So number 8 in a B for the Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to that more for the great riffs. Where even when the songs aren't as good, there's some just great riffs and great play between Monkey and Head, even if the songs aren't that great. And I definitely want to go back and hear more of that because that's what I love it. I absolutely love it. On to Requiem. It's the last album, the most recent one, February 4th, 2022. 9 songs, last album until they're coming out with something new here pretty soon.
Yep.
I heard some rumblings.
Yep.
This was produced by Chris Collier and Korn and the band. This is Fieldy Snuts. It's the last time I'm going to say his name because his bass was used on the album, but he left the band shortly after, so he is no longer with the band. So, and
He
also
hasn't
last time
been
I'm gonna
live with
say his
them for
name.
a long time
Yeah,
anyway.
yes, he hasn't. He hasn't. But this was recorded, I think, over a period of time, and they used the stuff that they had.
Yep.
Shortest album to date at 32 minutes. Generally favorable reviews again on this album, which again, it's not terrible, but it's not nearly up to the standard of some of the other ones. I don't know why it gets such favorable reviews, but they did take some additional time without pressure to record this due to COVID, where usually you get a lot of negativity about COVID, where we've talked about it many times, where a band's like, yeah, we couldn't do anything with COVID. Korn actually kind of did it right, and maybe it's because they came out with an album in 2019 and they kind of toured for it, and then they didn't really need to. It's not like they got robbed of a tour for an album.
Right. Yep.
But then they used this time to take additional time to record an album without extra pressure, and it helped kind of shape the sound of the album. Which finally somebody had something good to say about their time alone. Where they could write good stuff and come together after a while and say, hey, they could really parse through a bunch of stuff that they wrote. So where I don't think this is a great album, it's just really solid. Like I have
Yep.
no skippers here. Like I have my favorites are Let the Dark Do the Rest, Disconnect, and My Confession were my 3 favorite songs out of the 9. But there's no skippers here. This is another solid Korn album. This is a solid B and a number 9 just because, I had to put it somewhere. They have so much like solid stuff. It's hard to rank. So basically I kind of went through like I do with some of these other bands and I'm like, okay, I have 3 songs on here I really like, and then I go back and look and I'm like, okay, well this one has 3 iconic songs on it, or songs that, like Issues, for example. I can't put it above that, because that has, just iconic songs on it. So but it's still really solid. So I have this down at number 9. It's in the second half of the catalog, but not near the other bottom 4 that were just really, really not good. So another solid Korn album. B, number 9. What did you think of Requiem?
Requiem's good for me. It's funny. I like different songs than you, but I like every song on here. It's a solid album. I think the choruses and Start the Healing and Worst is on its way is some of the best stuff that John Davis has ever done. Talk about earworms. The should have been good. I should have been something else. Something else. It's good. I love the Worst is on its way. The whole chorus on that one too. So I can't get away. She's just. I think it's just they really. John Davis is still shining. I think even when everything else is,
old, man. Yeah,
it
keeps
just
doing
never does. So I really really like this album. I think this has room to grow for me still too.
I agree with that.
I bought this one on vinyl. I happened to see it at the store and was like, yeah, I like some of these songs on here. I'm going to get it. And every
What
once
a
in a while,
cool album cover too.
it
That's
is
gonna
very
look really
cool.
cool with the baby face, the doll face being crushed by a hand.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it looks
Very, very
creepy,
cool.
but really cool at the same time. Like, man, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm a big fan of Requiem. I think this one again, like I said, has room to grow. I had it number 7, and a solid B as well. So, again, all these last 4 albums are just promising. Where at least it's back in the right direction. So I'm really happy with being able to listen to Korn again and be excited, and them seeing them live and just kill it.
Yeah,
To me
talk
was
about that.
huge.
Like their most recent one.
Yeah. So I kind of mentioned it before with, so they were headlining the very first night um, of Sonic Temple. And so me and my son, I kind of got him. I was like, now, temper your expectations. Korn is not as good now as they were when I was a kid. I'm like, but he was listening to all the older albums and he was ready to see them. And then they came out like completely energized. It was great. Um, they hadn't played. I think I checked. They hadn't played. I think in 6 months. So this was the first show. They came out. They blew through like all their hits in the first half of it. I remember texting you, Mr. H. I was like, "Look at this set list," and you looked at
Yeah.
it. You're like, "Man, it's just
Yeah.
it was killer." And
When
they
I was
sounded great.
you sent me clips too, and it
Yeah,
sounded amazing. But
yeah,
that's what I was looking for right there, because you were like, I knew you were gonna say something like that, where you're like, I don't have high expectations, but then you're like, man, this is almost as good as when they were
yes.
in their prime. Like that's so cool,
I had a
and it
big
makes
smile
me
on my
want to go see
face.
him on again, And I'm like, damn it, like I didn't get to see that,
Well, I
Last
think
couple times I saw them, they were just okay,
Well, it
That's
reiterates, I
awesome.
think, what I was saying in one of the last couple podcasts, where I really think it makes a big difference with these bands where the guys are 50 years old. They're not young guys anymore. They can't go on these tours anymore with 25 dates, and you're gonna catch them on a 2-day stretch or 2 or 3 days in a row. They're gonna only give themselves like 1 or 2 days off a week, maybe 3 if you're lucky, but playing 4 shows at 50 something years old, it takes its toll on these. I would rather them. I love that like Metallica does it now, where
Yes, I was gonna say, you took it right out of my head. I was just thinking that same thing. Like
like how much has Metallica toured
yeah,
through the 80s and 90s and they toured all the time. They played 2
Mhm.
nights at every city. Those guys had to be so burned out. Now they're like, we're going to pick 8 cities across the US and we're going to do a 2 no repeat weekend. We're going to play on a Friday and a Sunday.
On a Sunday, they take a day off, and they have like
Yeah.
3 weeks in between all these shows, or like 4 weeks
Yeah.
even sometimes, like once a month. Like
Yeah.
people are traveling them and selling them out, and they sound great. Like you said, like
Yeah.
you almost got to pace yourself out. Take
Yeah.
longer time, in
And I
between.
know not everybody can do it, but
Yeah,
these type of
yeah,
bands like Metallica, Korn, like these guys have enough money that they could do it. Like System of a Down's doing it. No, I know we're not huge fans of them, but that's what they do now, and
yeah.
they sell out these big
Smart.
arenas. My Chemical Romance has come back, and now they're selling out these big arenas too, or these big stadiums. Like, don't go on these tours like you're gonna burn yourself out. You're
6 weeks, 25 days.
yeah,
You're doing 25 dates in what, 40 days or 45 days? Like that. You
yeah.
can't do this like you're 25 anymore. You
Yeah.
can't.
I mean, let the 20 and 30
Yeah.
year old guys, let them do those tours now,
Yeah.
like even bands like Disturbed, I think it wears them down and it really
Agreed.
affects their performance. So,
Agreed.
so
Feels formulaic and
it
too
does.
choreographed, because they're just kind of going out there, going through the motions. You don't feel the energy anymore, because they just like, it's good, but it's just kind of going through the motions. I bet
Right.
David Draymond walks down the stage at the exact same moment of every show and does the same exact thing. And it's like, it loses the spontaneity and the energy and all that. Like you said,
Yeah.
you take 6 months off, and he's like, wait, I don't remember. When do I go out there? Well,
Yeah.
screw it. I'll just go whenever, and it just has a better feel.
Yeah. They were firing on all cylinders.
Awesome.
I was
Makes
sitting
me
there
want to see him again.
smiling ear to ear. Like I felt like, again, my expectations were low, and
Yeah. It's the
for them to
best,
blow it
man.
away, I
The
was like,
best.
hell yeah. So
Love that.
All right, partner, what do you got?
Fantastic.
14-1.
All right. So at 14, we're going to fly through these. Path of Totality, 13 Untitled, 12 Korn, 3 Remember Who You Are, 11 See You on the Other Side. Those are easily the 4 worst
Yep.
albums. 10, I've got issues. I got issues with issues, but not as many as you have. So, but it's down at number 10. But it's infinitely better than those bottom 4. It's really way better. It's a whole different level. 9 Requiem, 8 Untouchables, 7 Paradigm Shift, 6 The Nothing, 5 Take a Look in the Mirror, 4 the one that shocked me, The Serenity of Suffering. Just really good stuff. 3 Life is Peachy. 2 Follow the Leader, which was really close to being my number 1, but I still have the self-titled first album as my number 1. Just the heaviness, it's so good. Oh my god.
Yep.
So, but I do love what they turned into later also. So, what did you have overall?
Number 14, Path of Totality. Number 3, Remember Who You Are. Number 12, Untitled. Number 11, See You on the Other Side. We have the same bottom 4, different order.
Yep.
Number 10, Paradigm Shift. Number 9, Take a Look in the Mirror. Number 8, The Nothing. Number 7, A Requiem. Number 6, I had Serenity of Suffering. Number 5, Issues. Number 4, Life is Peachy. Number 3, Untouchables. Number 2, self-titled Korn. And number 1, Follow the Leader.
Awesome. Why don't you, real quick here, because I haven't heard yet, why don't you tell me about Sleep Token?
So I was a little bit disappointed,
Okay.
but nobody else was disappointed. It sounded like everybody
Just you.
was super happy about it. So,
Okay.
so I actually, hey, I got tickets right when they first went out. My wife really likes Sleep Token, and I was like, okay, I think March, and it sold out in like 20 minutes. It sold out super quick.
I said like second row from the top in the corner is the cheapest ticket I saw the day of the show. It was $178 or something crazy. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You could have sold those for like $500.
Well, and I don't know. This will kind of go along with my story. I don't know how people sold them for that much. I don't know if they got them. Anyway, I actually ended up selling my tickets because a friend of ours got the suite from his work.
Oh.
So the day of the show, my friend Sam was like, Bob, sell the tickets. We got Loge. We don't need these tickets. She's like, see how much you could get for them. So I went on AXS, which is what did this one, which is weird because it's usually SeatGeek that does
That's what I saw
Arena.
the prices on with SeatGeek. And that's why I went with that, because that's usually tied to Rocket Arena.
Yeah. But I was looking for any other way to sell those, and it said, you can resell these, but you can only sell them for a max of this. And it was only like $92 or something, but and then they take out the fees and stuff too. So
yeah, right.
I actually only ended up making like $10 more than I bought them for. So
there had to be some way. Maybe they
Yeah.
got them in some other fashion,
Right.
or they had something where they could post like
yeah.
they had to transfer them some different
Something,
way.
yeah.
It had to be something.
I
but
might have
couldn't
been able to
believe it
figure
when I
out if
saw
I would have had more time.
Yeah,
but
right. You had to do it the day of.
I had to do it right away.
You got to unload them, right?
Exactly.
You don't want to just eat the money for no reason.
Not for that. When I knew for face value they would sell in 30 seconds, which they basically did. If they were within 5 or 10 minutes, I sold them. So, but anyway, the concert, to me, I think the Loge like situation hurts it. I need to be in the crowd, like feeling it with these people. Like it's an energy thing for me. Like I was kind of sitting there a little bit bored.
Where's
sounded
the Loge
really
at?
good.
Just out of curiosity, like in relation to the stage, lower level or the middle level one?
The middle.
Corner,
It's the club level.
Okay.
So right above where the club level is.
Okay.
So
sort of the middle then.
Yep, basically the middle. And really good view. It was caddy corner. Like I was looking right down at it.
Okay.
So it was good seats. They sounded really good. Their stage show was cool. They had like a big castle wall and these awesome lights. So they sounded good. I just don't like their new album that much. And that kind of killed it for me. I like their previous album, and they did play a lot off of it, but they played enough of the new album where it kind of got boring to me.
Okay.
but my wife really enjoyed it. It sounded like everybody else really liked it. I
Do they
think
like it more because it was in the Loge? I
no,
mean, that makes a difference for some people. I know it
yeah,
doesn't for you. It kind of doesn't for me either.
right,
Our company has a Loge on the lower level, like right on center court. There's 4 of them, right? There's one
okay,
on each side of center court on each side of the arena. So they have one there. Well, concerts don't sound so good down there. They actually
right,
sound better on the level where you're at
yeah,
because the speakers are all hanging up at that level, you know?
yeah,
So, I mean, it probably sounded better for you. And I want to go in
yeah,
the Loge for free, but I can't
right,
hardly ever get those one. And when I did, like, it isn't as good a show. It's cool to have all the beer and food and
right.
whatever, but it's just not as good a show in there and I totally get what you're saying. So.
Yeah, I like to be in the mess of it, and that's why when I saw Sleep Token a couple years ago with my wife at Sonic Temple, they headlined the second stage. We kind of camped out there because there wasn't anybody we wanted to see, so we got like right in the middle. It's not a pit band,
No,
obviously,
right,
so
right.
it was awesome to sit in the middle, and again, that experience you just can't beat it because we were right in front of the stage, and we felt it. Everybody was there with us. Like, to me, that's the way a concert should be. So
My favorite spot in like general admission these days,
yeah,
because I don't go into pit anymore or try to get up front or whatever, is standing right next to or right in front of the soundboard.
yep,
Because you can see everything and that's where it sounds the best because that's where they're doing the sound. So it just
exactly.
makes total sense.
I'm with
And
you.
usually it's close enough to where you can see they need to have line of sight, be able to see the band when they're tuning up and that kind of stuff. So it's the perfect spot to be. And usually you can get there because everybody wants to rush up front. You can usually kind
Exactly.
of cozy up to that thing. You got something to lean on sometimes, some spot to put your drink down where nobody's going to kick it over. So I that's my favorite spot. So
Yeah.
totally get you.
Yep. So fun, but again, they had one album I really like. They're kind of getting away from it now, but they're huge. They're absolutely huge. So
They are.
I can't blame them for doing what they're doing. And
Who opened?
the ladies love them. It was a Australian band, metalcore
Okay.
band called what are they called? I can't remember, but they were pretty good. They were pretty solid. I can't think of their name right
That's
now.
okay. That's fine. I knew it was nobody that I heard of. That's why I just wondered if they were any good. So
Yeah. Yep. It was fine, but
okay.
fun night. Again, my wife really enjoyed it, which was what I really wanted.
That's what you wanted
I
out of
wanted
it, right?
her to enjoy herself, and it was cool. The light stuff was cool enough to where I was like, this is cool. They put a lot of the money that they're making into the presentation
Good.
of it, and to me that's cool. I dig
Good.
it. So good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to hear about it because I hadn't heard about it. Everybody else might as well hear about it
Yeah,
too. So
absolutely.
sorry
So
to add another 5 minutes to that, but
all good. So next week, we're I think we're doing Limp, right? Are we doing
I
Limp? Or
I think so. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. We
so
try to do we try to alternate, and I'm like, I need to look at the L bands. We try to do like somebody newer, which I guess Korn is newer because they're still putting albums out, but they're in the same time period as Limp Bizkit. So
yeah,
I don't know. We were gonna do Leonard Skinner, I guess, but it's just too many. Again, it's 20 albums or more. There's so many albums. We'd need to cut that down or something, do something different, or take a week off. And I don't know that they're as popular as some of these. Like Korn's got like almost 13 million listeners a month. I don't think they're at that level, but I don't know. I mean, we'll do them eventually for sure because the influences and all that stuff. But it's not going to be next week. So it's either going to be Limp Bizkit or somebody else. But Limp Bizkit's coming up for
maybe
sure.
the
So.
other one, maybe, and I don't know how many albums offhand they have. Maybe Linkin Park, maybe is another one we could possibly do.
Yeah, I think they have enough albums now. Yeah,
Linkin Park
we
does,
we
yeah.
could do them, but again, your Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Korn, they're all from the same
All yeah,
time
right.
period. So I kind of feel like I want to break that up, but at the same time, we're going to do all these bands. So I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll have to look into it. What I want to get to is I want to get to doing Mushroom Head around Halloween,
Okay.
because and that's kind of the way we had it scheduled. So and that's obviously we're going to L, and then we got M. And I think we're doing Megadeth and Mushroom Head, so we'll just do them on whatever the weekend is right before Halloween because that'd be fun.
So Linkin Park has 8 albums,
Okay,
and Limp
like
Bizkit.
7.
It's
pretty
probably
low,
right
too.
about the same.
It's pretty low too, 7 or 8.
Yep.
So
Yeah, so we'll talk about it. We'll
yeah, well, we might have to throw somebody a little more classic in there if we can
yeah,
come up with somebody, but we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully something way less than 14 albums.
Yeah. But I feel better. I mean, I got most of it out. I said I went off my notes here and told some of the things that I wanted to kind of include, but just didn't have time to put all in here. So, and we still got it in 2 hours 10 minutes with a concert review. So that's not bad. I feel better about it now, but it was a lot of work this week. It was just stressful, and I love Korn. I didn't want it to be stressful.
Sure.
So.
Limp's got 6 albums, so
okay, that'll be a breeze compared to this.
Yeah.
So, but
Okay.
we'll figure it out, and we'll fit them in there.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment if you're here listening. Just let us know what you think.
Brian, John, they're not here.
Pretty quiet. So just leave a comment. Let us know you stopped by. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your rankings are. What are your top couple Korn albums? Are they the same as ours? Do you like the middle of the road stuff that we didn't like?
Maybe you're big into EDM stuff, and you're like,
Right.
"Oh man, that was great when they did that with Skrillex." I'm like, I don't know, it wasn't for me, but.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
We will. Rock on.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.